Chicago is one of the most dangerous cities in America, home to the largest collection of gangs by street in the country. In the world of Chicago street gangs, there used to be an unwritten rule: you don't go after family. Mothers, children, girlfriends were supposed to be off limits. But in October 2015, that rule was shattered in the most brutal way possible. What followed was a cycle of revenge that left multiple innocent people dead, including a 9-year-old boy lured into an alley with the promise of juice. But it wasn't the first time, and wouldn't be the last time, that loved ones would get caught in the crossfires. This is what happens when gang warfare goes past boundaries and reality hits. On August 16, 2011, 17-year-old Sharonez Jefferson was 8 months pregnant. She lived in the Marquette Park neighborhood on Chicago's southwest side. That evening, she decided to walk to a corner store with a friend, a young man who, unbeknownst to her, was a member of a local gang. Earlier that same day, 18-year-old Timothy Jones had been shot in the thigh during a gang dispute. The wound was minor, but it fueled his rage and desire for revenge. Jones, known as a stick-up man with a recent robbery conviction and a tattoo on his arm reading "R.I.P. Granny," was already on probation for a gun charge. At the time of the shooting, he should have been staying out of trouble. Instead, he grabbed a 9mm handgun and went looking for rivals. Jones spotted Sharonez walking with his intended target. He opened fire, aiming at the rival gang member, but the young man ran. That left Sharonez standing alone on the street, 8 months pregnant, directly in Jones's line of fire. Jones was unmoved by her pleas, turned his gun on Sharonez, and fired at point-blank range. She was struck multiple times. As she fell to the ground, the impact of her body hitting the pavement cracked her unborn baby's skull. Even as she lay dying, Jones fired again and again into her body. Witnesses said he was cursing at her while he shot. Doctors performed an emergency cesarean and saved her baby boy, Kamani, but the infant's skull fracture left him with severe brain damage, fully incapacitated with little chance of recovery, requiring round-the-clock care for life. In February 2015, a jury convicted Jones of first-degree murder after just 4 hours of deliberation. Judge Thaddeus Wilson sentenced Jones to 90 years in prison. The judge noted Jones's complete disregard for human life. Shooting a pregnant teenager begging for mercy warranted the maximum sentence. Jones never showed remorse. He maintained his target was the rival gang member, not Sharonez. But prosecutors noted his long juvenile record, including theft and armed robbery charges, demonstrating a pattern of violence and disregard for the law. The pattern of gang members targeting rivals' family members extended into Chicago's drill rap scene. In November 2020, 26-year-old Chicago rapper King Von was shot and killed outside a hookah lounge in Atlanta during an altercation with rapper Quando Rondo's crew. King Von, a member of the Black Disciples gang, was a close friend of rapper Dirk Devontae Banks, aka Lil Durk, another member of the Chicago Black Disciples. According to federal prosecutors, Lil Durk made it known he would pay a bounty to anyone who killed Quando Rondo, cash payments plus lucrative music opportunities with his OTF record label. Nearly 2 years passed. Then came August 2022. On August 18, 2022, Lil Durk's associates learned Quando Rondo was in Los Angeles. 5 OTF members flew from Chicago to San Diego using credit cards tied to Durk's label. In Los Angeles, the 5 met with Kayvon London Grant, a top OTF associate. Grant got them hotel rooms, purchased ski masks, obtained 2 white luxury sedans, and supplied guns, including a fully automatic machine gun. The next day, they followed Quando Rondo's black Escalade from a marijuana dispensary to a West Hollywood clothing store, stalking him across the city. When Rondo pulled into a gas station across from the Beverly Center Mall, the hit team struck. Gunmen jumped out and opened fire with multiple weapons at the busy intersection, but they missed their target. Quando Rondo survived. His 24-year-old cousin, Saviaya Robinson, who went by the rap name Lul Pab, was standing outside the vehicle. He was struck multiple times and died. Pab was a member of rival gang the Rolling 60s Crips. After the shooting, prosecutors say the gunmen met at an In-N-Out Burger to discuss payment, then flew back to Chicago. A month later, Lil Durk released a song prosecutors say mocked the shooting. On October 24, 2024, federal authorities arrested all 5 shooters. That same day, Lil Durk was arrested in South Florida attempting to flee. Prosecutors say he'd booked flights to Dubai, Switzerland, and Italy. In November 2024, Lil Durk was charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire, use of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire resulting in death, and firearms charges. But it was a cycle of retaliation in Chicago in 2015 that really showed how vicious the streets can be. It all started with a violation. On October 13, 2015, 25-year-old Tracy Morgan was sitting in a car with his mother in Chicago's Chatham neighborhood. They were leaving a mandatory gang call-in meeting at the Friendly Temple Church of God in Christ on South State Street, an anti-violence program run by Chicago police to steer parolees away from gangs. Tracy, known as Tea Time, was a member of the Bang Bang Gang, also known as the Terror Dome faction of the Black Pea Stones. As Tracy's mother drove him home, she noticed a silver sedan that had been parked outside the church was now following them. Near 83rd Street and South Lafayette Avenue, the sedan passed them on the left, then cut in front and stopped. Another vehicle pulled up behind them, boxing them in. Two gunmen, later identified as Khalil Yamin and Christopher Smith, reputed members of the Killa Ward Gangster Disciples, got out and approached the car. They fired 17 times into the vehicle. Tracy Morgan was hit 11 times and died from his wounds. But the violation that would ignite everything was that his mother, who was driving, was also shot. She survived the gunshot wound to her arm, but the damage was done. In Chicago gang culture, shooting someone's mother crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Tracy's brother, Corey Morgan, made a promise that shocked even hardened gang members. According to prosecutors, Morgan pledged to kill grandma's, mama's, kids, and all. A straight menace. 5 days after Tracy Morgan's murder, Corey Morgan and 22-year-old Dwight Boone Doty were hunting for revenge. They went out daily, armed with guns, searching for members of Killa Ward. On October 18, 2015, they spotted what they thought was an opportunity. 19-year-old Brianna Jenkins was sitting in a car with 20-year-old Deshari Bowens. Jenkins was an aspiring nurse with her whole life ahead of her. She'd only recently met Bowens. What she didn't know was that Boone Doty and Morgan believed Bowens was a member of Killa Ward. Boone Doty walked up to the vehicle and opened fire, shooting multiple times into the car. Brianna Jenkins was struck and killed. She was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But in the fury of retaliation that Corey Morgan had unleashed, that didn't matter anymore. As it usually goes with revenge, Morgan and Boone Doty weren't satisfied. They wanted to send a message. According to prosecutors, Boone Doty even conducted surveillance on the grandmother of a rival gang member. Then they found an even more horrifying target. On the afternoon of November 2nd, 2015, 9-year-old Tyshawn Lee was playing basketball at Dawes Park near 80th Street and Delman Avenue in the Gresham neighborhood. He was still wearing his school uniform from Joplin Elementary School. Tyshawn wanted to be a police officer when he grew up. What he didn't know was that his father, Pierre Stokes, was allegedly a ranking member of Killa Ward, the gang Morgan blamed for his brother's death. Corey Morgan, Dwight Boone Doty, and getaway driver Kevin Edwards arrived at the park in a black SUV. While Morgan and Edwards waited in the vehicle, Boone Doty approached Tyshawn as he played. He struck up a conversation. Then he asked Tyshawn if he wanted to go to the store. When the kid said he didn't have any money, Boone Doty told him he would buy him juice. Trusting the adult, Tyshawn followed Boone Doty into an alley near 80th and Damon. That's where Boone Doty shot the 9-year-old boy 7 times at close range. When Tyshawn raised his hands to try to block the bullets, part of one of his thumbs was shot off. He died in that alley, his basketball lying beside him. Later, when describing the murder to a fellow inmate who was secretly recording, Boone Doty laughingly referred to Tyshawn as Shorty and said Shorty couldn't take it no more, adding he should have killed all the kids in the park. On March 8, 2016, the same day prosecutors publicly revealed the details of how Boone Doty had executed Tyshawn, Stokes drove to a Shell gas station in the 7900 block of South Ashland Avenue. There, he found Corey Morgan's girlfriend, Robin Matthews, along with her 2 nephews, Antoine Davis and Kevin Davis. According to prosecutors, Stokes pulled out a gun, looked at Matthews and said, "I'm gonna kill you, bitch," then fired 4 to 5 shots. All 3 survived. One of the nephews would later testify at trial that he had seen Morgan and Boone Doty together at Morgan's girlfriend's residence on the day of Tyshawn's shooting. The cycle continued. A gang member's brother gets killed, so they kill innocent people associated with the rival gang. Then the rival retaliates by killing the original gang member's son. Then the father of the murdered child retaliates by shooting the girlfriend of his son's killer. Pierre Stokes was later convicted on 3 counts of attempted murder, 2 counts of aggravated battery, and unlawful use of a weapon by a felon. The father who had lost his 9-year-old son to gang violence had allowed that same violence to consume him.